Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnocky, and as always, I'm here with Matt Stewart and Jess Perkins, who are miming along in unison.
Well, we're into what, our 8th year?
You've heard that a few hundred times now.
I've heard that so many times.
Although it's funny because you weren't here a few weeks back and I had to do that and I'm like, wait, what does he say again?
Yeah.
But when I'm in the moment, you are mouthing word for word.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever, you do karaoke and you think you know the song so well because you sing along with the words.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously singing slightly behind the words by a split second or whatever. Or they're reminding me as we go.
Like you're reading the words at karaoke.
Oh, at karaoke. Yeah, no, good point. No, I'm talking about, on the radio, when you're hearing the words is easier than when it's just an instrumental track.
Sure.
Like I remember when
you're saying an instrumental track, it's harder to remember the words?
Yes.
For an instrumental track.
Well, no, what...
I get what you mean. I get you. It's
I'm glad someone does. Jess works in radio at a music station. She doesn't seem to understand music.
What about this one, Jess? What about it's when you're doing the dishes, you're putting away the cutlery.
Yeah.
And if the knives and forks are already there, it's easy. But if they're gone, you go, hang on.
Where do they go?
A fork's on the left.
Yeah.
A fork's in the
Thanks
middle.
so much for putting it into terms that Jess would understand.
Dinnerware.
Because she was lost before.
I was like, music? What?
But cutlery? Come on.
Okay.
Your greatest passion in life.
You're talking my language.
Yeah.
I love
Dishes.
cutlery. Dishes.
You love spoons. Spoon collection.
Love spoons.
Hey, Jess, how does this show work?
Well, this show works where one of the three of us, Dave, Matt, and me, Jess, we take turns researching a topic, usually suggested by a listener. We go away, we research it, we bring it back to the other two who listen politely, who never riff along.
Spoons.
And yeah, we keep it super relevant.
Spoons.
And if this is your first ever episode, like all podcasts, just give it a go, You might hate it, but we grow on you.
Yeah, you got to give it a few episodes. But I will say this. I looked at reviews recently. Back to back, there was one that said the best, 5 stars, and it was really glowing. And the next one was the worst thing I've ever heard, 1 star.
Wow.
I'm like, And which one did you think about when you were lying in bed that night? The 2 bests or the 1 worst?
It could have been the worst.
See, I think the person who said the worst thing I ever heard needed to listen to a couple more episodes.
Yeah, they complain. They don't like the off-topic stuff.
We've made it so clear that's what we do. You know
the
what I mean?
show's called Do Go On, a phrase used when people, because we are distracted by something. Anyway, we've done it again. Dave, you're starting this episode with a question to get us on topic, or
My
Jess
question
is depending on.
My question is, Jess, what's your question?
Who's got the open laptop in front of them? You think Dave's that cavalier?
Is that the question? I'll field this one.
You think I'm just going to riff it this week? I'm feeling confident.
I reckon I got it.
I watched a
pretty
doco
observant.
on the weekend, and I remember the gist of it.
You're going
There's
to
a
maso
guy,
it?
Barry or something.
Whoa,
anyway,
whatever.
don't
Who
worry
cares?
about it.
He's American or Finnish, one of the 2.
I don't know. No, it's me, and my question is broad and vague.
Okay.
So strap in. Of the potential heist stories, which is our collective favourite kind of heist?
Bank.
Stupid.
Stupid bank heist.
It is not stupid, but it is a bank heist.
But is this a stupid bank heist?
No, that's why I said it's not stupid.
No, I thought you meant the answer's not stupid, but I was hoping this one would technically be a stupid
No,
bank
it's
heist.
not stupid at all. It's quite smart.
Oh, okay. Actually, that's my second favourite, a smart bank heist.
Yes.
But it's not even, super about the heist. You'll see as we go along. It's more about the character,
The friendship?
the friendship, the friends we made along the way.
Love that.
This has been suggested by Liz Lefevre, who we've, a long-time supporter and the only suggester of this topic. And it's a great topic.
Wow.
So I thought,
Special shout out.
yeah, special shout out to you, Liz, and great suggestion.
Lefevre, that actually means the fever in French.
Oh.
And people don't like our off-topic stuff. That wasn't technically part of it, but very interesting. Did we not learn?
Yeah, I'm writing that down.
The fever. Okay, so our story begins in May 1991 in Texas. A teller at the American Federal Bank in Irving, Texas.
The Hun.
What? A teller? The Hun? that what you did?
I think so.
I'm sorry I didn't get it for a bit.
Well, it was quite a while between you saying a teller and me saying the Hun.
That's it. I was like, Irving the Hun?
That was a real example of you listening to the words and then singing them after you heard them.
That's my life. My brain is a little behind.
A few seconds behind.
I'm on a satellite delay in real time.
A teller the Hun.
Because that's funny.
That is funny.
That's
That's
really
funny.
funny.
And that's on me for not picking it
actually
up.
really
It
funny.
is, but it was about 10 minutes late.
I'm also trying to build some suspense.
Yeah, sorry. A teller in Irving, Texas.
At the American Federal Bank.
The Hun.
Greets the next customer. A medium-height, mid-40s white man with greying hair, a slight beer belly, and a beard, wearing a leather jacket, sunglasses, and a 10-gallon hat. It's Texas. That's not that weird.
He sounds cool.
Yeah.
Sounds very cool.
I was like, that's funny. I like that you're saying cool. I'm like, this sounds like me a little bit.
You are white.
Yes.
You are medium height.
Yeah.
I'd say slightly above average.
Put me there. I'm grey. We've got, between you and me, we got this.
Grey hair.
We got this.
Slight beer belly and a beard.
Yeah,
Both got beards.
I got those ones.
Either of you have a leather jacket.
All the time.
Yeah, Dave's a leather jacket.
I'm wearing one in summer.
I've definitely seen both of you in sunglasses and 10-gallon hats. But that was just our trip to the wild, wild west.
I'm more of an 8-gallon kind of guy.
Yeah, 10's too big. The man approached the teller and hands over a note. The note says, "This is a bank robbery. Give me your money, no marked bills or die packs." The stunned teller complied, handing over a stack of cash from her drawer. The man nodded, stuck the money in a satchel, and calmly walked out of the bank.
I love the nod like, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, tips the hat. The man, who would be referred to as Cowboy Bob,
Cowboy's so great. Bob feels like it takes away a little bit.
What's a better cowboy name?
Cowboy Carl.
Cowboy Carl. But they said Cowboy Carl.
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 Cowboy Carl.
The name's Carl. Cowboy Carl.
What about Cowboy Craig?
That's good stuff.
They say names different over
They
there.
do. But Cowboy Craig, that sounds better than Cowboy Craig.
Yeah, that's
It
really
does.
true.
Do they call him Daniel Craig?
Oh, maybe.
I've never heard that. Yeah,
I don't know.
starring
Probably.
Daniel Craig. So funny.
I love it so much.
It's good.
So everything about America makes me so happy.
a
I love how
beautiful
they do
place.
things slightly differently.
Yeah.
Which I know we're really the ones doing things slightly differently because they're the big one.
Oh, that's not fair. You know,
Texas is pretty big.
we're all doing stuff differently.
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
true. That's a good
This
point.
place is smaller than us.
Yeah.
And I can't name any. We're pretty big land mass
Yeah,
wise, but
that's true.
population wise.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Cowboy Bob. Sorry.
Cowboy Bob
Not
has
Carl
walked
or
out.
Craig.
He's taking the cat. Did he have a weapon or did he just say this is a robbery?
No weapon.
I think there was a weapon implied. They're in Texas. He's wearing
Yeah.
a big hat.
Yeah, okay.
But
Implied weapon.
so no mask?
No.
Wow. And it's a real beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Brazen.
But they called him Cowboy Bob after a character from the comic strip Dennis the Menace. There was a
Okay.
Cowboy Bob character, so that's where that came from.
Okay.
You know how he goes, no marked bills
Yeah.
and no
die.
And they're like, okay. Would he know? How do you know if you'd have to check every note to see that there's no marked bills?
Or the die packs are probably a little more obvious,
Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, who knows?
But I like that, and I like that he didn't speak, so he must have a real distinctive voice. Hey, Lil, I'm Cowboy Bob. I'd be like, oh, that's Cowboy Bob. They guessed his name anyway, so he didn't really end up saving himself, but
yeah.
there must be a reason he didn't speak, right?
I think you're overthinking things early.
That's not like me.
I've gotten about 4 dot points in, and we're already, we're throwing around a lot of theories.
How many dot points we talking? This whole
Oh
report.
fuck, so
7,
many.
8. What do we
So
got?
many dot points.
Wow.
I break it up a lot. Each word.
I'll let you.
Finish
get
this dot
through
point?
a few more dot points before I say something stupid again.
The man, who would be referred to as Cowboy Bob, robbed 4 more banks over the next year.
Okay.
From an article in allthat'sinteresting.com. According to the teller's testimonies, Cowboy Bob was always calm, always unarmed, always polite, and always silent. He was thorough in his heist, steering clear of the security cameras and checking each bill for marks or die packs. So there you go.
Was he a mime?
Oh,
And was
that's
he
true.
miming a gun?
Wow. Because that is an implied weapon.
It's also possible that he can't talk, obviously.
Maybe.
Or doesn't speak English.
Yes, or has a very thick accent which would give him away.
Yeah.
Like, for example...
I'll do an accent. You see if you can guess where it's from.
Okay.
Give me the money. Give it to me.
I know where he gets. Sorry, I'm going to need a few more words. Sorry, I'm not getting it. How much money do you want?
Give me all the money.
All of it.
And my bills.
Okay, what about a die pack? Do you want a die pack?
No die packs. Thank you.
Well, I think we should call that guy Cowboy Bob. Now, was that your Austrian?
We'll find out because it's
Belgium.
You'll find out later.
Okay,
Okay,
we've all
just
got
got it. Great.
Thank you. That was really fun. So yeah, he would check for die packs.
Check.
Which, for people who don't
No,
know,
check. That's my second guess.
they're the little dye-filled devices that set off by radio, essentially. They create a lot of mess, which essentially means the money is useless and the robber can't use it, and also usually sort of, gives them away.
Because they're walking around like a Smurf.
Yeah.
Trying to spend Smurf money.
Hello.
Here's 7 Smurf dollars. Ever they put Smurf in front of everything in Smurfland?
Smurfolas or something.
I'll get those
Can I have
Smurf berries for 7 Smurf dollars, please.
He exited the bank, getting into his 1975 Pontiac Grand Prix,
Oh, beautiful.
and drove away calmly as to not attract further attention. It seemed to the police that Cowboy Bob had considered every small detail very carefully and planned out the robberies meticulously. His hat and glasses meant security cameras couldn't get a good look at his face. Plus, he seemed to purposefully avoid looking at the cameras or tilting his head that way anyway.
Oh, you never eyeball the camera.
You never.
Cut.
This is a
waving.
real pro. He's not taking off his sunnies, squinting.
Yeah.
Huh?
He's not holding up
What's
his
that there? What's
glasses to
that?
the camera.
What is that?
Thank you.
But I personally, I can't resist the camera.
You love it.
I see a camera and I just think,
Hey, the camera can't resist you.
yeah. And I can never do it silently either. I've got to do a monologue.
Yeah, you must. But that's you.
I hand over my note. Now is the winter of our discontent. What?
Put the money in the bag. Okay.
Did you believe that? Do you want me to do that again?
He always wore gloves, so he left no fingerprints. He left the banks calmly, like I just said before, so meaning that no one could really give police further evidence of what he looked like because it was just a person leaving the bank. You weren't paying attention to it. So you see somebody running out of a bank with money flying off behind them
And that's
a gun, that's sus.
That's another reason why you do a note so people aren't overhearing you.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And then there's a discussion as well, probably.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Just read the note. Don't make me tap the note.
Yeah, and he's got everything in the note, you know?
Right.
It's like no die, no marked bills, all the money. There's like, what questions do you have?
But what if there was a question? If you, hang on, got to write out a note.
Yeah.
Like they
No,
ask-
I think, oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
How's your day?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just-
What denominations, any
Yeah.
preference?
Do you want me to open the safe and get what's in there as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I've said too much, you know?
I'm a trainee. I'll have to get the manager. Is that okay?
Yeah, I actually don't have access codes to even open this till.
I don't work here. You've walked up to a random person in the bank. The teller's over there.
You didn't mention in the note if I could press this secret security button or
Yeah.
not. Can I?
Can I? Yeah.
Just wanted to double check if that's okay with you. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers.
Yeah.
He was in and out usually in around 60 seconds. It's
Wow.
quick. Police were baffled and very frustrated. He was making me start to pull my hair out, said former agent Steve Powell to the Texas Monthly. Steve Powell comes up a lot. How could this thin little dried up cowboy be whipping us this bad time after time? He's whipping us.
Oh, so he's a thin little...
Keeps getting away.
Gosh.
So that was May 1991. In December 1991, Cowboy Bob struck again, stealing $1,200 from the Savings of America, which is also located in Irving. This time, an eyewitness was able to write down the license plate number of the Grand Prix,
Okay.
the Pontiac.
So he's still driving around in the same car.
Same car.
What's the number plate?
I don't have it.
Cowboy Bob.
I'm not doxing anybody.
But
Seaboy.
Seaboy.
he's also stealing a smallish amount of money each time.
Well, this is in
that
1991. That's not that's, he's not,
Was it 1,200 or 12,000?
1,200.
1,200. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
for a bank,
1,200's not
feels
heaps,
like,
but he's going to like one teller. He's not sort of, it's a one-man operation. If you've got a heap of people, maybe some people get into the vault and get all the good stuff. Or,
You're saying less overheads.
yes.
Yeah. But he's just like in and out real quick, just whatever that teller's
That's
got,
right.
I'll take it.
He sounds like he's living paycheck to paycheck or bank robbery to bank robbery.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more than 1,200 in today's money, but you're right, it's not like life-changing money just yet.
I saw maybe my favourite ever personalised number plate the other day.
Oh, and I hate most of them.
Yeah, me too. This one was Sharon.
Good.
No numbers as letters. How stoked would Sharon? I feel
Sharon's
like
got it.
Sharon, like
You wouldn't even try.
Sharon feels like a person named Sharon feels like the kind of person who might want to get a personalised number plate as well. So that's like a high demand one. It's not like Dennis or something. I don't think Dennis is out there. There's like a normal Dennis isn't going, I want to get my car named after me. They're ashamed of their name.
I wonder if Dennis
Sharon's
is available.
a Proud.
Do you reckon Dennis is available? Can you look it up?
Proud. Yeah, I think you can.
One time at a shopping centre I used to work at as a teen, I saw a car that's number plate was Jessie, but no 5s for S's.
Oh, yeah.
They got it. They got Jessie. I was like, holy shit.
Wouldn't you be sweating the whole time
Yes.
until it's delivered? You're going, there must be some mistake here.
There's no way I must have to get
can't
at least
be-
1 5
Yeah.
or a 3.
If people aren't squinting at a number plate going, hang on, what does this mean?
Yeah, very confusing.
I saw,
J3.
I saw once the number plate was V.
Whoa.
Just V.
That was it,
For Vendetta?
I reckon.
Or for 5.
Wow.
5.
Maybe that was their 5th car.
It was a badass looking black, expensive looking.
That was their 5th car.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they number them all?
Now I want to egg that car.
Could have been one of the members of the band 5.
Oh.
I don't think I can name one. They didn't have, most of those boy bands had a famous member.
Oh, I think there was one that was more famous than the others. What was his name?
I had a crush on Richie.
From?
5.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Okay.
Is there Scott as well?
Scott was in there, yes.
Bloody hell.
Hang on.
We've
Sean.
Let's keep going. We can name them all.
They're not household names, like NSYNC had Justin Timberlake. Robbie Williams' band had Robbie Williams.
Take that.
Take that.
Backstreet Boys
Take
had
that, Robbie Williams.
Backstreet Boys had Howie and Kevin,
No. Who's the one from Backstreet Boys? The blonde guy.
Nick.
Nick Carter.
Brian's the other one.
The 5 also had a guy called Abs.
Abs. That's probably who I was thinking of. Is that
Abs
not
Love.
Scott?
Abs Love.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Anyway, guys, we just got the license plate.
Oh, this is big.
Great. What is it?
No, I don't.
Jess doesn't want to dox him.
I've worked hard on this report trying to build some suspense and tell an interesting story
So Cowboy
with
Bob.
twists and turns and and you guys are just like, what's the license plate?
So-
they've got the license plate.
Great. They've got the number of the Grand Prix. This is fantastic.
FBI agents are thrilled. They're like, we freaking got him.
Wow.
Easy. So they track down the license plate, converge on the owner's house, which wasn't far from the bank, bit audacious, robbing a bank so close to home. Inside the house, they found a lady sitting in her living room, confused as to why police were banging on her
He
door.
stole a lady?
He stole a lady.
What?
She told him she hadn't left the house that day, and she took them outside to see her car, which was a red Chevrolet.
Whoa.
It's the wrong kind of car.
What has happened here?
It was only then that she noticed that her license plates were missing.
He's a genius. Cowboy Bob.
FBI agent surmised that the actual thief had stolen the plates earlier in the day and put them on his car, throw him off the scent.
Oh, that's clever.
Very good.
But his car sounds distinctive. What's it called again?
It's a Pontiac Grand Prix. I don't think it's
It sounds like it should be distinctive. Maybe it's not. And it was a 1970 something?
1975. I don't think super uncommon. I'm not a car expert. If you are and you're listening and you're like, nah, but
Oh, nah, it's a sick car. Holy shit.
it's a great looking car, but I don't know if it was necessarily really unheard of,
Right. What? Oh, that's a beauty. Okay.
You just watched a YouTube video now.
That's a beauty. Check out this clip.
It's real
so
funny.
good.
Look at that.
Oh yeah,
Holy
That is
shit.
a sick
it's
car.
probably about that sort of brown color too.
Oh my God.
That's like a long lowrider type. Also, I've got some bad news for you, Matt. If you're going to buy that car, there's a number plate you will not be allowed to put on there. And that is
Sharon.
Dennis.
Oh no,
This
Dennis has
combo
been taken.
is unavailable in Victoria.
I mean,
Can we get Do Go On?
Oh my god.
It really doesn't. It feels like Dennis isn't the kind of person who goes out there putting his name on his
I
car.
don't know.
It's available.
Do Go On's available.
We can get Do Go On.
Holy shit!
Can we get a company car? Let's get a van.
No, let's get a Grand Prix.
Pontiac Grand Prix.
Or that or a combi van.
Okay.
My dream car is genuinely a combi van.
Combi vans are sick. Let's get a combi van.
Well, let's get the number plate first. Can you purchase that, Dave, while Jess is babbling on about whatever this story is?
Select style. Oh my gosh.
Just want the listeners to know that, put a lot of effort into this one and it's a fun story.
I'm so into it. This,
you're
all right, we'll
enjoying
make this
it.
our next Patreon bonus episode. Will be us picking our car and number plate combo. But until then, Jess, please do go on.
So, the thief stolen the plates. Another time, the plates actually matched the type of car, the 1975
That's clever.
Pontiac Grand Prix. So police thought perhaps Cowboy Bob had been a little cocky this time, or perhaps careless, and had forgotten to replace his real license plates with fakes before committing one of his robberies. So again, they're like,
We got him.
we got him.
So let's surround the house with a SWAT team.
The license plate brought police to a Dallas car dealer named Pete Tallis, although other sources say he worked at a Ford auto parts factory.
Pete Tallis from
Pete
Dallas.
Tallis from Dallas.
Wow.
Tallis was arrested, but police were disappointed to learn that while Tallis did technically own a 1975 Pontiac Grand Prix, he'd bought it for his mother and sister. His mum was unwell and his sister was a primary caregiver, gave it to them to use.
And now they're using it to rob banks.
To get
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
but the cops aren't heartless. They're going to let a sick woman pose as Cowboy Bob and rob banks?
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
fine.
What do you think?
$1,200 at a time, whatever. Let her keep it.
Yeah.
hospital bills and stuff is expensive. So they're like, expensive. So they're like, has the car been stolen from Pete's sister? Or was her car being used by someone else to commit the crimes? Was she an accomplice in some way? So they tracked down Pete's sister, Peggy Jo Tallis, expecting to find that she lived with a boyfriend who police would find to be the bank robber. Surely, Peggy Jo must be like the Bonnie to this guy's Clyde. She's got to know about it. If he's using her car to rob banks, she has to know about it.
Behind every great Peggy. That's Cowboy Bob.
Agreed. So upon making a visit to Peggy Jo's house, though, they realised how wrong they were. Where they expected to find a wild young woman, there was a middle-aged motherly figure who lived in a modest two-bedroom house with her ailing mother. They asked if she had a boyfriend or a husband. She said no. They asked if she'd heard of the recent string of bank robberies. Also no. They asked if anyone else had access to her car or had borrowed it. Agent Powell asked her, now come on, who's been with you? Where is he? And blankly, Peggy Jo replied, I'm the only one that's in this vehicle. There's nobody else. So this seemed to be another dead end. Standing in front of them was a middle-aged woman who worked part-time to try and support herself and her sick mother.
When profiling works in your favour, well, it's a woman, middle-aged. She can't be connected.
Boyfriend. Where's your boyfriend?
You heard of these robberies? No. Well, I guess that's it.
That's it then. Hasn't heard of
Don't
it.
challenge this any further.
Her story was backed up by family members, all of whom insisted that she had no boyfriend and no time for a boyfriend.
She's got no boyfriend.
Trust me.
She's got a boyfriend? Yeah, good one.
Nice try. So they're desperate, so they have a look around her home anyway. And that's when they found, in her bedroom closet,
Uh-oh.
Cowboy Bob.
and he handed them a note and it said, rut roll. No, they found in her closet a mannequin head with a fake beard on it, men's clothing, a cowboy hat,
No.
and a shit ton of cash.
No.
And again, police questioned her as to where the man was.
So
There has to be a man.
Which man fits these clothes?
Then Powell noticed something he hadn't before. Flecks of grey hair dye in her hair and a thin line of glue on her upper lip. Only then did it click in his brain. There was no man. Peggy Jo Tallis was Cowboy Bob.
Why does she still have the glue on her lip?
I think she just robbed a bank. I think that one had recently happened.
Oh, man. And it was so close to them just going, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
Huh?
dead end. That's
Well, I guess
amazing.
we'll leave you to it then, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa, Peggy Jo.
Peggy Jo Tallis.
So that's probably the real reason why she didn't use her voice.
Yeah. As I would have given away. Would have been a little bit.
That she was in disguise. Amazing.
So let's go back a little bit. Let's find
Must
out.
have been a pretty good fake beard.
Yeah,
Because even
maybe.
you thought it looked real when asked before.
Yeah. That's what I was doing.
You were convinced
I was
yourself.
trying to get some kind of I wanted it to be a reveal. And you're like, well, why are they talking? It must have an interesting voice. I'm like, you fucking shut up. Shut up.
My guess it is probably some sort of middle-aged woman. Doesn't have a boyfriend.
I even saw as you figured it out before I'd got to it. And in my head, I was begging you. I was like, shut up.
I hadn't figured it out.
Oh,
No.
I thought like a few sentences before
Nah.
you were like, oh.
I thought that was another genuine dead end, and you were going to be like,
Great.
anyway, we're going to move on to another suspect.
Anyway.
They keep badgering these poor middle-aged women with old mums.
Who were just like, I'm just sitting in my house. Why are you yelling at me?
It's just me.
I think it's funny when I feel the same when I've got a report that's got a reveal in it. It's like when you're doing a surprise party or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, they know.
They know.
Yeah.
They know. They're thinking about something entirely different.
Don't fuck this up for me.
Yeah. And the little details that you're picking up on, because I know the story, I'm like, no, don't mention that because you're going to give it away to everybody. No, it's fine.
I love now you mention that. And then they notice for the first time a bit of glue on the lip. I can imagine that in the TV adaptation.
Yeah.
Camera zooms in. Like the sheriff just makes eye contact, reaches for the gun. She it's like,
Yeah.
super tense.
She reaches for the clag.
Does a bunch of like flashback kind of things where the police officer can like see her putting on a mustache and it's like,
Hang on a second.
puts it all together. So let's go back a little bit. Born in June of 1944, Peggy Jo Tallis was the youngest of 3 children, raised solely by their mother after their father died of cancer when Peggy Jo was 4 years old. While their siblings were active participants in high school activities, mainly sport, Peggy Jo dropped out of school in 10th grade. Her childhood friend Karen Jones says, she told me there was just too much else to do in life than spend so many days at school. Peggy Jo, preach. Know what I mean? Every day at school?
Come on.
Come on.
It's this cookie cutter thing, isn't it? School. We're not. All the kids aren't the same.
Yeah.
Well, how do we think that they can all just go into this classroom and be taught by one person in the same way? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Do you want to think about a lot?
Free the kids.
Free the kids. What I think about a lot one time is in a science class, I didn't understand how to figure something out. And so I went to the teacher for help, right? A crazy thought, I know. Because I wanted to understand. It's not how my brain works. I'm a creative. And I went up and I was like, could you just help me? And she just stared at me. She said nothing and just stared at me.
Handed you a note that said, hand over the
money.
cash.
And I was like, what? This is a weird school. I look around, I'm in a bank.
This isn't a science lab at all.
Oh, God, I'm lost again.
So, did you ever get an answer?
No, she just stared at me sort of in that way of like, you figure it out. Like, come on, figure it out yourself. Until I just kind of looked back at her and she didn't say anything for ages. So I went, oh, okay, I get it now. And I went back to my desk. I still have no idea.
Yeah.
Just help me.
It's when you become an adult, you do realize that a lot of teachers are really weird units.
Some are incredible. Like, teachers are amazing. And then
I love them.
there's a small percentage of them. There's a couple in every school that are just like,
This is for you. You're like,
Yeah.
that's just a strange person, or
Yeah.
someone going through some stuff. But
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
a teenager, you're not thinking about that.
No.
At all.
As it would be the same in any field, probably.
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Not in podcasting. They're all normies.
Or the exact opposite of that.
I don't know. We're all real cool.
Yeah, people ask me science questions all the time. I just stare at them.
I just stare at them.
I don't say anything.
I was picturing, remember that Tony Abbott video where he's asked a question by a journalist and he just stared like
Tony, you're not saying anything.
Tony, you're not saying anything.
I've given you the answer you deserve.
I was thinking I might do a Patreon bonus episode one day where I count down the top 10 funniest / weirdest moments in politics.
Great.
So I'd have that Bush, can't get fooled again.
Yeah.
And have
Now
that
watch this drive.
Abbott
just
Abbott
another
eating
one.
the onion.
Yeah.
Abbott not talking. That one won't work so well on.
Abbott doing a creepy wink
Oh,
on the
yeah.
radio into that was a gross one.
Just do top 10 Abbots.
That'll be
Say Abbott.
Abbott and Bush.
Abbott and Bush, largely,
Abbott
yeah.
v. Bush.
What a great comedy combo they would be.
Yeah.
Biden's got
Bush
a few
and
good
Abbott?
ones in the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Trump is...
He played his role.
Yeah.
Have we had any other funny ones?
No, ours have all been
Rudd
cool.
trying to be funny. Fair suck of the sauce bottle. Got a zip.
First suck of the sauce bottle.
It's not how you consume sauce. Anyway, so Peggy Jo, she's out of school. She's like, there's better things to do. This is something Karen continues to say. And what was most special about her was that she loved doing things other kids didn't do. She once drove me around looking for stray dogs to adopt. And then she took me over to Yellow Belly Drag Strip just to watch cars race. Remember, this is the 1950s. Like, this free-spirited attitude was a little unheard of. Karen told the story of one day Peggy Jo decided to drive to San Francisco to see what life was like there. I looked it up. It's about 1,700 miles from Grand Prairie, Texas to San Fran, or 2,700 Ks, about a 26-hour drive.
Whoa.
Just gets in the car and takes off. I'm going to go check out San Fran, see what life's like there. It's pretty cool.
Can you put that in Aussie terms? That's Melbourne to, like, beyond Brisbane, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, wow.
It's a big drive. And, hopefully did it over a couple of days.
Yeah.
Got
to have a few power naps in.
26 hours, you can't drive it that long. Bad for your back as
But
well.
right, when you do that over 3 days, you start to lose enthusiasm. Do I really care what it's like over there?
Yeah, do I care what life's like in San Francisco?
And you start thinking about every hour you're driving out. That's an hour you'll drive
gosh.
back.
Yeah, it's a long time. So it's a pretty wild and impulsive thing to do. She returned with books of poetry to share with her friend. I laughed and thought, of all people, Peggy Jo's been off reading poetry in San Francisco, Karen said.
Of all people.
Of all people. But that's just who she was.
This idiot?
That's just who she was, always ready for an adventure.
That's so funny. Of all people.
Of all people.
The person who's always ready for an adventure.
Of
Who
reading
would've thought
poetry.
it? So weird.
Yeah.
In the same sentence saying, never would have guessed her. Of course it was her.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
yeah. She was always up to something interesting and fun and loved the arts. Reading poetry, crazy. In her 20s, Peggy Jo was living in an apartment in North Dallas and working as a receptionist at a Marriott hotel. She met Terry Young at work and the two became good friends, hitting the town nearly every night.
Okay, now it's Terry Young,
Cherry.
Cowboy Bob.
Cherry.
Oh, no, it's not. No, Cherry. Won't be Cherry.
How good's Cherry, though?
Cherry's
great,
fantastic.
yeah.
Cherry Young?
Cherry Young.
Holy shit.
Superb.
Great name. A lot of this biography info is coming from a great article from the Texas Monthly, which I'll link in the show notes as well. It was written by a writer with probably one of the best names I've ever heard in my life. Are you ready for this?
I'm so ready.
Skip Hollandsworth.
Oh, my God. That's not a real
Skip.
person, yeah. Skip Hollandsworth.
Holy
From
shit.
Texas. Skip Hollandsworth.
I think so. Will. Yeah, he writes for the Texas Monthly. He's an executive.
Now, where do you put
Editor.
that compared to last week? We had a journalist called Parmigiana Olsen. And now I know that was our name for them.
What was the actual first name?
Palmy.
Palmy Olsen.
Palmy Olsen.
Parmigiana Olsen. Parmigiana Olsen is good. But Skip Hollandsworth?
Yeah,
Hollandsworth.
they're both. I really wish someone would go back to the start and just collate all the great names we've come across.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, I
Too
forget
many.
them all.
Yeah. And we wouldn't know the context for 90% of them.
No.
Because they'd be like someone in an article or like a passing.
Yeah, we need
Character.
name, one sentence summary of who the hell they are.
I loved this part that Skip wrote in his article. It's a great article. This is from Skip. Peggy Jo always drove her little burgundy Fiat, gunning the engine, racing other cars from stoplight to stoplight. They hit all the great Dallas nightclubs, Soul City, The Fog, and the filling station on Greenville Avenue, ordering Coors, playing pool, and flirting with men. They went to see the Doors and the Doobie Brothers and even the Rolling Stones, screaming at the top of their lungs as a young, wrinkle-free Mick Jagger gyrated madly across the stage. Beautiful words, Skip.
Yeah,
goes on.
why are you bringing up Jagger's wrinkle-freeness?
Because it was a long time ago, so he wasn't old.
Because everyone's picturing old Mick Jagger back then.
Not funny.
The Doobie Brothers, that's pretty sick. That's one of the great band names.
Absolutely.
You heard of the Doobie Brothers? We got one of them.
Skip goes on. Peggy Jo took Cherry to a coffee house where amateur poets read out of their notebooks. They also went to see movies. Peggy Jo's favourite, which she saw over and over, was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Starring Paul Newman and Robert Redford, the movie tells the story of the famous bank and train robbing duo who lived in the last days of the Old West. Two good-natured Robin Hood-like outlaws who never believed that what they were doing was wrong because they never hurt innocent bystanders and they always robbed from institutions that took advantage of downtrodden citizens. Although Butch and Sundance knew that they had little chance of survival, they refused to walk away from the life they loved, and they ended up in South America, still robbing banks, finally dying in a hail of gunfire. That was her favourite movie. And I love that Skip tells you the plot summary.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that's a spoiler. I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Thanks, Skip.
But honestly, is that the hottest combo of leading men ever in a film?
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Robert Redford, Paul Newman.
Oh my God.
Am I right?
Yes, you are right. You are correct.
Not their value, but their value.
Yeah.
Their value, you know what I mean? Like, not their value, but value.
Yeah, there is some value
Not
there.
their value, but cash out.
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Cherry later recalled that her friend Peggy Jo didn't seem as concerned with things her peers were thinking about. Careers, marriage, kids, security. Peggy Jo wanted enough to pay her bills and keep a roof over her head and a little left over for a few drinks with friends. She was just sort of like, I'm happy just getting by. Her dream was to save up and one day move to Mexico and live on the beach. Cherry said she was beautiful and she was rambunctious.
Oh, my God.
She always told me that deep down, she was wild at heart. Wild she was. She could get a little feisty at times. One evening she was pulled over by a police officer for speeding and she laughed at him and tore the ticket up in his face.
That's pretty sick.
Imagine.
I love this kind of person who is leading a wild life, telling their friend, you know what, I'm really wild at heart.
Yeah.
Deep down.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, you do crazy shit.
Yeah,
You're
I know.
not deep down at all. That's very
It's very
surface level
obvious.
wild.
Deep down, something I'm suppressing is I'm pretty crazy. I'm pretty
Something
wild.
you wouldn't know about me.
Yeah. Something you probably haven't noticed now.
I cocked that
Long
within
friendship.
the first minute of knowing you.
Yeah. I go out with you with a sense of fear and dread because I don't know what you're going to do.
When we get in the car, I'm holding on to the seat, the roof.
I've had rally car like seat harnesses put into your car.
Got a roll cage put in.
I wear a helmet when we go for a walk along the beach.
I know you're wild. I'm scared to end this friendship because I don't know what you'll do. So I live in fear. Cherry also recalled a time they were out at a restaurant in Fort Worth and they had a bit of an argument. Cherry left the restaurant to cool off. And in the meantime, Peggy Jo walked outside and saw an unlocked pickup truck with keys in the ignition.
Oh, my God.
She jumped in and took off. Police eventually caught up with her and she was arrested, pled guilty to a felony charge of unauthorised use of a motor vehicle and received a 5-year probated sentence.
Is that different to stealing a car?
If they've left the keys in it and it's unlocked,
Yeah.
are you saying unauthorised use of a motor vehicle?
Unauthorized use instead of grand
It's not
theft or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But also I like that, because this is like Cherry's telling of the story and she's like, oh, I left and definitely wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm like, Cherry, were you there? Know what I mean? Where were you, Cherry?
Yeah, your memory of it's pretty vivid, Cherry.
Yeah. So she had a little bit of a wild streak, could be a little impulsive in some decisions. But, you know, people are complex. And Peggy Jo's niece also recalls in the Texas Monthly article how warm and nurturing her aunt was. She says, when she came over to babysit me and my brothers, she made up funny games for us to play. She cooked us popcorn. I mean, cooking popcorn. A bit of it.
Cooked as popcorn. Dave, would you count that as one of the meals you can
Yes,
cook?
that's cooking. Like when someone tells me that making nachos isn't cooking nachos. It's fucking cooking. I'm putting them in the oven. I'm putting the popcorn on the stove.
Where do you draw the line? Is toast cooking?
Yes. You're cooking that. Okay, uncooked toast. Sure, that's bread.
Yeah.
Cooked bread, you're looking at toast.
That's
Okay,
true.
bowl of cereal. Putting milk on cereal. Is that cooking?
No heat.
Okay.
Heat applied.
the
Heat
key.
involved.
So warm milk?
Oh, if you boiled that milk,
Yeah.
like this morning I had porridge for breakfast, oats on the stove. I cooked that bad
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Cooked oats.
Yeah, okay.
Cooked porridge. Okay.
Yeah, cooked popcorn.
Good to know.
I mean, it's not praiseworthy for an article,
No.
but technically that's cooking.
Okay.
You know.
So it's the heat is the key.
It's just a
Yeah.
niece recalling nice memories, I guess. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't cook a salad, you prepare a salad.
Right. So it's
Exactly.
combining at least not even two ingredients, because popcorn's just one ingredient. So it's one
Well, if you
ingredient and heat.
If
is
you want
cooking.
But what
dull,
if it's-
flavourless popcorn, you got to add butter, you got to add salt.
what if it's like a pasta salad where you've had to cook the pasta first? And
Oh
then
yeah, you've cooked that pasta.
So that's a cooked salad.
Cook the pasta, prepare the salad.
Okay.
Combine the two.
Yeah, right. Wow. Busy day for Jess.
No, that's a two-person job.
Anyway, this is her niece recalling. She cooked us popcorn. Then at the end of the night, she told us ghost stories. She truly had a heart of gold.
She scared the shit out of us.
Yeah.
Gave us nightmares.
Yeah, the stories were just her life.
She got me real hopped up on salt. Peggy Jo Tallis's carefree and wild life hit a few setbacks by the mid-70s. She'd fallen in love with a man who lived near Dallas and was feeling
Okay, this is going to be Cowboy Bob.
Finally.
Finally.
We made him.
next twist. Was feeling hopeful about a shared future. But Karen Young said a few months later, the relationship was over. Peggy Jo had gone to the town where the man
And killed
lived.
him.
No! And seen his car in a parking lot. She went over to say hello, only to find a woman behind the wheel. After a quick chat, Peggy Jo discovered this woman was driving her husband's car that day. Peggy Jo had no idea the man she'd fallen in love with was married, and she was completely devastated.
Oh.
And not long after that heartbreak, she moved into an apartment in Irving to live with her mother, who was battling a degenerative bone disease. She was, in a way, forced to settle down for a while and put some of her carefree dreams away. She worked at a nearby computer factory and later took an office job for a mobile home construction company. Her closest friends got married and Cherry moved away, and although she apparently had plenty of chances to start another relationship, she was pretty keen to keep her distance from men. I don't think she was ever able to get over the pain of the betrayal from the married man, Karen said. I think she decided to be alone. So this wild young woman with dreams of adventure and freedom had found herself middle-aged and somewhat isolated. Her mother's medical bills were overwhelming, and the financial and emotional stress of being a carer for her mother was incredibly hard. From Texas Monthly again, I think she was beginning to feel like she could never catch up, said Cherry, who occasionally came down from Oklahoma City to visit. She was just too proud to ask anyone for help. She liked helping people. She didn't want people to help her. Cherry paused. And there's another thing that was going on with her, she finally said. This is hard to explain, but I think Peg was starting to feel, well, like her life was slipping away. It's the way women get sometimes. Cherry, don't you speak for all of us. Mine slipped away years ago. It's not slipping, it's gone. You get to a place in your life and you start looking back and you say to yourself that it's not working out the way you hoped. You think everything is slipping away and you feel, I don't know, crazy. You want to scream or something. Cherry paused again. I think Peg missed being wild at heart. Skip Hollandsworth, beautiful words. Now, this article's written pretty sympathetically towards Peggy Jo. It's, it's all about... It focuses a lot on she was fun and wild and free and now she has to care for people. And
because of this freaking married man. How do you reckon that came up in the convo? So she says, hey, how are you doing?
Sorry to bother you. I thought this was my friend's car. I must have got the wrong car. And then she might have said, oh, it's my husband's car.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, how nice.
Oh, yeah, your husband's car? Jerry? This is Jerry's car.
And then how do you explain who you are?
Oh, I'm a friend of Jerry's.
That's sus. Men can't have women friends.
No,
I'm an enemy of Jerry's.
I read his poetry.
Jerry doesn't write poetry.
No, love letters. Oh, no.
I've said too much.
Like she's protecting him for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe protecting the wife.
Yeah, who knows?
The wife.
So, yeah, it's quite sympathetic towards Peggy Jo. You can see some of the motivation behind why she did what she did. Financial stress, feeling like there's no escape from it. Also just feeling like you've lost a part of yourself that used to be so important.
And then loving the movie about a couple of bank robbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being inspired by film.
Cowboy bank robbers too.
We've all been guilty.
Yeah.
Being inspired by film.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's why I took up modelling, because of Zoolander.
Yeah. You're so good at it.
Working out for you?
Yeah.
And he can turn left. After the FBI's Steve Powell interviewed bank employees and watched the surveillance tapes, he had no doubt he was dealing with a professional bank robber. Texas Monthly again. Peggy Jo did not commit any of the amateur mistakes that many first-time bank robbers make. She kept her head down so security cameras could not get a good shot of her face. She didn't fidget as the teller read her note. During those long seconds that ticked away as the tellers pulled the money out of her drawer, she remained absolutely silent, saying nothing. Then came that long walk out of the bank, when she had to be wondering if a security guard she'd not seen was coming up behind her, a gun in his hand. But she did not break into a run, nor did she squeal away in her car, running red lights and drawing more attention to herself. So she just kind of very calmly left the bank, got in the car, drive away.
That's so badass.
That is real badass.
It is pretty badass.
You can just quietly walk away.
But also just the fact that she's wearing a fake beard.
Yeah.
And no one ever went, well, that's someone wearing a fake beard, possibly a woman. You know?
Like, none of the tellers ever said.
She must have done a very good job with her costumes.
Yeah. Managing to evade police, Peggy Jo struck a few more times. In January 92, she hit Texas Heritage Bank in Garland for approximately $3,000. It's a bit better money. In May, she got $5,300 from Nations Bank in the adjoining suburb of Mesquite.
Now we're talking.
And in September, Cowboy Bob robbed First Gibraltar Bank in Mesquite of $1,700. Police arrived quickly, followed 10 minutes by FBI, and they tracked the license plate to a Mesquite resident who, predictably, went outside to his driveway to find his license plate missing.
So good.
So they get there pretty quickly after the bank's been hit. FBI close behind.
I really hope that she didn't get done. The crime wasn't theft of money, but it was unlawfully borrowing
Yeah.
money.
Unlawful use of money.
Yeah.
While agents were conducting their investigations at First Gibraltar Bank, a call came in that Mesquite's First Interstate Bank, another bank only about a mile away, had just been robbed by a man in a beard, a cowboy hat, a leather coat, and gloves. And this time, $13,700 had been
Whoa.
taken.
It's a big time.
Cowboy Bob is at it again, shouted Pal, jumping in his car and racing towards
Damn
First
you,
Interstate.
Bob.
Son of a bitch, he said, apparently.
Son of a bitch.
It has that big vibe.
I'll get you, you goddamn son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Robbed one bank, robbed another bank a mile down the road,
That's sick.
back to back.
The other thing is that, like, after over like 6 months or whatever this is, you think that they'd start, I suppose it's Texas, you're right, start to look out for someone with a beard, a long leather jacket, a cowboy hat. But I just realised that, yes, that's probably less.
Yeah.
Oh no, Texas Ranger Walker's been taken in.
So that kind of brings us back to the point of the story where we left off, with Agent Powell realising that Peggy Jo Tallis was the bank robber he had been chasing. He read Peggy Jo her rights and drove her to the downtown FBI office where other agents were waiting. Gentlemen, Powell said, Cowboy Bob is actually Cowboy Babette.
Oh, God, was he workshopping that in the
He had
car?
the whole drive to figure someone out.
She's in the back. He's like, what do you reckon if I say this?
Babette.
He must have been so proud of it, hey?
Babette. That's
Standing
Dave, punch it
ovation.
up, please.
Cowboy Babs.
Cowboy Babs.
It's still shit, isn't it?
But-
Still bad.
But it's better than Babette.
Cowgirl Bob.
Yeah. That'd be better.
That's better.
He
It would
must
be
have-
clearer
He would have been
Cowboy
so proud
Babette.
of himself.
I feel like
room
everyone would be like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
The room goes silent with confusion.
And then Peggy Jo's like, I told you it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Honestly,
But
let's go out and come back in. Try the one I suggested.
Let's remember, this is a guy who took a few extra beats to realise that the clothing and hat and fake beard didn't belong to to a man. Which, in a sense, is kind of understandable because it's estimated that women commit less than 5% of bank robberies that take
Yeah.
place in the US. This article was written in
We
2005.
won't have equality until
50%.
50%.
But this was written in 2005 and there was like 7,600 bank robberies that year. And
Wow.
so it's
We
less than 5%.
We're never going to run out of reports. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. And only a few of those women who rob more than a bank or two before they quit or get caught. So for it to be this long streak over a year, statistically, it's understandable why they assumed it had to be a man. But still, when in her closet is a fake beard and the hat, you're like,
You've tracked down already the number plate.
Yeah.
I love the idea that he still walks into custody. Guys, turns out Cowboy Bob is married to Cowboy Babette. We're still on the
can't
hunt.
get the guy. She's
hunt for
being
Bob.
pretty tight-lipped about
Yeah.
where hubby is.
Yeah, she just won't. We're going to crack it.
So she's arrested, and although she remained pretty tight-lipped about everything that had happened, she eventually pleaded guilty to the robberies. A few things worked in her favour when it came to sentencing. The fact that she'd never used a weapon of any kind during the robberies meant her sentence wasn't going to be as long. Plus, she was white, and the defence really leaned into looked like she just went a bit crazy.
Ah.
Really lent into that. Middle-aged, soft-spoken, pretty white lady. They went, I think she just sort of snapped.
Yeah.
She went a bit nuts. She's
That's
sorry, though.
That is less illegal.
She's sorry. She went, ooh. She went a bit loopy. She just had a little, she had a moment. Who amongst us hasn't had a moment? Probably menopause. They really lent into it, which is real fun. So she was sentenced to 33 months in federal prison, so just under 3 years, which she served. And unlike everyone...
And she got to keep the cash.
She got to keep the cash. So that's waiting for her when she gets out, which is great.
And accumulating interest.
Yeah. Unlike everyone else who goes to prison, Peggy Jo actually hated being locked up.
Ah.
Yeah, she didn't like it.
Well,
No.
she is wild at heart.
Exactly.
She can't...
How can you cage this wild bird?
Bird.
Bird. When bird.
That's your character again. Robbing a bank.
Put the bird in a cage. When family visited, she refused to talk about the robberies, other than to say it would never happen again. Learn my lesson. So she's released from prison. It's like the mid-90s by this time. She and her mother moved to a new area, away from the people who know she was a bank robber. So she got a job as a cashier at a marina at Lake Ray Hubbard outside of Dallas. And life seemed to settle. and Peggy Jo earned a new reputation around town, one very different to her bank robbing days. She was one of our best employees, said Susie Leslie, who was then the manager at the marina. Not once did the money in the cash register come up short on her shift. And what I loved about Peggy Jo was that she checked on the lower income customers. She was constantly pulling out her own money to help some of the families pay for bait. And I know she used to give some money to a man out here who had been in prison and was still down on his luck. One day I asked her why she did that. And she said, well, we've all got a past, you know? So she it's like she learnt a lesson. She was like, I'm going to help out other people.
That's lovely. But why is the paper interviewing this marina owner?
Yeah. Fantastic. She lived a pretty quiet, somewhat isolated life. She'd lost touch with her old friends, Karen and Cherry. She spent all of her time outside of work looking after her ageing mother. In December 2002, her mother, Helen, died peacefully in her sleep at the age of 83. Susie said she was relieved her mother was no longer in pain, yet you could tell she was still heartbroken. She couldn't talk about Helen without tears coming to her eyes. Yeah, fair enough. At Helen's funeral, Peggy Jo and her brother Pete reconciled. They hadn't really been on the best terms for quite some time.
Pete,
before...
This sounds like a Cowboy Bob type.
You're still looking for him.
Well, it's obviously not the...
It can't be Peggy Jo.
Peggy Jo.
She's taken the fall for somebody else.
Yeah.
She later went to the annual Christmas dinner that Pete and his wife put on for the Tallis family. She was friendly to all of us and she loved on the kids, and when I asked her what she was going to do now, she said she had some plans, Pete said, but she never told me what they were. So you didn't ask follow-up questions? Rude. Bad conversationalist. A couple of years went by and Peggy Jo was now 60 years old. She bought an RV in 2004 and told Susie it was time for her to move on. She said she was going to put some money together and head down to Padre Island or to Mexico and live on the beach like she'd always wanted to, Susie recalled.
That was her dream.
Yeah, she's like, I got an RV.
Stoked.
Go live on the beach. She told me I ought to come along while I had the chance, before life ran out on us. I'll never forget her saying that, before life ran out on us. It's a bit full on. Peggy Jo sold her stuff, furniture, her car, gave her potted plants to a neighbour, and she drove off. She didn't go too far initially. For a few weeks, she stayed at a public park near Lake Ray Hubbard, spending part of the day fishing or walking along the shore. Her niece, Michelle, would occasionally visit. She and Peggy Jo would sit on folding chairs next to the RV. Peggy would drink Pepsi out of a coffee cup and smoke menthol cigarettes.
What a combo.
I know. Michelle says she'd watch the sunset and then she'd go inside the RV and pull out a skillet and cook up some fajita meat with chopped onions. You know, it wouldn't have been the life I would have chosen for myself, but I couldn't help but admire her, doing her own thing and doing it her way.
That sounds awesome to me.
She loved being completely free. Pretty good. Skip Hollandsworth. In the late summer of 2004, Peggy Jo left a telephone message for Carla Dunlap, a friend from the marina. When Carla had developed breast cancer the previous year, Peggy Jo had checked on her nearly every day and had bought her a cap to wear when her hair began to fall out from chemotherapy. On the message, she asked how I was doing, and she said she was about to hit the road, Carla said. And then she said, no matter what happens to me, always remember that I love you. Concerned, Carla's husband, John, drove out to the park to see if he could find her and perhaps give her some money. But she was already gone. It's not entirely clear where she went. Over the next few months, people said they'd seen her driving the RV through many East Texas towns. And some would say they'd seen her in Tyler in October 2004, right about the time that an odd bank robbery occurred at the small Guarantee bank on the southern edge of the city.
It's a funny coincidence.
According to the tellers, the robber was an older man with a round stomach and a scraggly mustache. He wore a dark floppy hat, baggy clothes, and gloves. He placed a green canvas bag on the counter and said, all your money, no bait bills, no blow-up money. Then, after receiving a stack of cash, he walked out of the bank and down a street. No one got a glimpse of his getaway vehicle. One of the tellers did tell the FBI agents she was struck by the softness of the robber's voice. It sounded a bit feminine. What's more, the teller said the robber's mustache appeared to have been glued on, and his stomach looked more padded than real.
Okay.
A lot of great info from this teller.
He's
very
paying
observant.
a bit more attention.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Steve Powell had retired at this point. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure he would have had a pretty good idea of who they were looking for. The agents who were investigating this robbery, however, brought in an older male suspect to take a lie detector test. After he passed with flying colours, they began investigating other men. Again.
Makes sense.
Does make sense. There's got to be a man out there.
I think it's wild that she robbed so many banks and no one ever went, or what? You know, she's not even, it's just
There's
an
no
implied
weapon.
threat. Just do it.
And I talk about this a little bit at the end as well. I listened to this other podcast about this, and they made a very good point of like, bank tellers are trained that any
That's not worth
verbal note, anything,
Yeah.
just give them the money.
The customer is always right.
The customer's
Give 'em what
always
they want.
right. But even that note or just somebody coming in, if you can't see a weapon, even them saying, give me your money.
Yeah.
If you don't, the implication is violence of some kind.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah,
it's pretty
and
scary.
It's totally, I like it. It's never worth. It's never worth.
But a funny response would be, or what?
yeah.
Yeah.
And in this
or
case,
what?
maybe it would pay off, I guess. But yeah, is it worth the risk?
No, I don't. No, I don't
It's
think
wild,
it is.
isn't it?
It's just wild that no one ever did.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a bit of hero in them, you know.
I don't. I got zero hero in me.
Zero hero.
Oh my God. Roll over. You take what you want. Here's the keys. Peggy Jo's own family certainly had no suspicions that she'd returned to her secret life. Periodically, throughout the fall of 2004 and the early months of 2005, she'd call them from payphones, telling them she was doing fine, but never really, going into too much detail. One afternoon, Michelle ran into Peggy Jo at a Walmart, and Peggy Jo was picking up supplies. Cartons of cigarettes and paper towels and fajita meat.
She loves that fajita meat and that skillet.
Yeah, Michelle said she seemed to be in great spirits.
What is fajita meat? I know what fajitas are, I think. So I guess fajita meat's the meat that goes inside of them?
Yeah, it'd probably just be like
Done the maths there.
it'd be like a minced beef or something.
Right.
Her brother Pete drove out to see her, and the two spent a couple of hours looking through old family photos. And he said his sister seemed happy, was planning on packing up and heading off on one of her adventures very soon. Soon means the next day. It was May 5th, 2005. Peggy Jo woke up, made her bed, got dressed. She put on a black long-sleeve shirt and a pair of black pants that she kept in a drawer. From a shelf, she grabbed a sandwich baggie filled with makeup and applied some lipstick and some blush. And then she made her way to the front of the RV, where she kept a variety of sunglasses and wide-brimmed hats, along with a couple of black wigs and hair extensions. After choosing a large black straw hat that came down over her forehead and a pair of black sunglasses, Peggy Jo slipped into the driver's seat and drove to Tyler, parking her RV, which just so happened to be parked across from a bank, the very bank that had been robbed the previous October. She walked through the front door of the bank, approached the teller and said, "This is a robbery. I need all of your money. Don't set any alarms." The young teller emptied her drawers into Talis' satchel. This time it was
As in,
$11,000.
Like American soldiers, like pants. He shat himself.
Into the satchel. Huh? There you go. There's your money. I've pooed all over it. You didn't tell me not to.
Enjoy. It was $11,200.
Nice.
Enough to finally get to Mexico, as Peggy had always dreamed of doing.
Okay, one last job.
So in her haste to get away, however, she made one simple mistake.
She said, "Bye, my name's Peggy, bye."
Dropped a business card.
She didn't check for a dye pack. It exploded as soon as she walked out of the door, covering the money with red ink. A plume of red smoke also began to rise from the satchel as she headed back across the street, dodging traffic to get to her RV.
Drop the bag. Can't believe she's using the RV as the getaway
I know.
car.
The red smoke obviously caught the attention of people on the street, who called police immediately. Within minutes, law
If you
enforcement...
saw red smoke, would you be like, "Better call the cops"?
Somebody running out of a bank holding a bag that's smoking and covered in red dye? Yeah, I probably would call
But
the
she
cops.
wasn't running out of the bank, and it didn't happen until she was outside the bank.
No, so she's leaving the bank. Like,
She's left the bank.
they're set off by you leaving the bank.
Right.
Like those.
So it's not like she's done some other shopping and she's just in a chemist and it's gone
No,
off.
but you're walking down the street. Are you really going, "Oh, that old lady, I think she just stolen some money. Better get the cops out."
That's literally the point of these dye packs.
Yeah, but Matt's no snitch.
Is that what you're saying?
But you are. You're saying that you would do that, and you don't see it. I think it's weird to be on the street and be like, "Oh, yes, I get to dob in this old lady."
Oh, so it's just because it's an old lady.
Oh, in this case, it is.
And so if she'd murdered someone, I shouldn't tell anybody about it because she's an old lady.
I think that's what they call a straw man argument there, Bob.
I would just watch and I'd be fixated. I love when he said, one time I saw a full police chase and the guy got away and I was so excited
But see,
for
the
him.
police were already aware of the situation.
Yeah, but I was so excited for the guy.
You were excited for him? Yeah. Oh, because he got away.
He got away! And then like people were chasing him.
That's fun.
It was fun.
I'm not saying I would call police, but people did.
Yeah.
Yeah, snitches.
Within
What town is this?
Snitchville.
Snitchville? Tennessee?
Within minutes, law enforcement officers were tailing the RV. As it turns out, like FBI agents were nearby too, so it's like bad timing. The RV is struggling up a hill.
Oh.
No, it's still smoking.
Cars are just the
Red
police
smoke
cars
coming
are
out
just
the
like
window.
following.
It looks like a Cheech and Chong style police chase.
Suddenly, she hit the brakes, turned into a quiet middle-class neighborhood at the edge of the city. She turned into a street and a couple of police cars raced past her to box her in.
Oh.
Officers leapt out of their cars surrounding the RV, handguns drawn. The officers had no idea who was in the RV. They didn't know it was her. They didn't know anything. They assume that there's a bunch of accomplices in there as well. I mean, it's an RV. It can fit a lot of people. So, yeah, they're like, it's probably... they're assuming and they're behaving as if it's full of armed accomplices.
Or fajita meat. One of the two.
One of the two. It's always one of the two. We hope for fajita meat, but more
Always.
often than not, it's guys with guns. If my day had a little more fajita meat in it, I tell you what. Anyway, so SWAT officers yelled commands at the RV and a standoff lasted several minutes. From Skip Hollinsworth again. Finally, Peggy Jo went back to her bedroom where a .757 Magnum loaded with hollow point bullets was hidden under a pillow. But she didn't touch that gun. Instead, she picked up a toy pistol that she also kept in the bedroom. She'd bought it, apparently, to carry with her in case she ever needed to threaten a bank employee in future robberies. She walked to the door and opened it, her hands at her side. The police officers who had surrounded the RV couldn't believe what they were seeing, an unassuming woman in a wide-brimmed hat, a woman who was the age of their grandmothers.
Well, can't believe what we're seeing. A woman in a hat.
Are you being held hostage by a man?
Where is the man, woman?
Oh, no. So to them, is there any difference, like, legally in a toy gun or a real gun? Like, would the charge be less?
If she's used it in a bank robbery or something?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I mean, the bank teller wouldn't. I don't think so,
Yeah, right.
because they wouldn't necessarily know.
I guess it depends on the jurisdiction, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I-
It's
and
a
I've-
good question.
But I'm disappointed you don't know about Texas law a little more.
Sorry, I did really put this together quickly.
You've phoned this in,
I
Bob.
really have.
Normally you would pass the local bar.
So I'm going to talk about any kind of crime. This little old lady has come out and they're like, you know, come out with your hands up or whatever. She says, like, you're going to have to kill me.
Oh.
Ma'am, you don't have to do this, replied one of the police officers. You mean to tell me if I come out here with a gun and point it at you all, you're not going to shoot me? Please don't do that, yelled another officer.
Oh.
So they're asking her, they're like, they're pleading with her. Peggy Jo Tallis took a step out of the RV, and as she moved her arm, it was revealed she was holding a gun. 4 officers fired, and all 4 hit her.
Oh.
She died instantly. The SWAT team, still assuming that there were other people in the RV, shot tear gas canisters into the RV and then stormed the front door.
It's already full of red smoke.
I don't think the thing's still smoking.
There's got a lot of juice in this.
Jeez,
And-
these canisters.
So obviously this version of events is the official police story. That we begged her not to.
Yeah, there's actually a person living on the street got his video camera out
Oh, wow.
and was filming it, and you can hear them
Right.
apparently on
There
the
you
on the
go.
tape. They are saying, like, please don't. So they discovered she was alone, and that although she did have a real gun with her in the RV, the one she was holding was a fake. They found a little baggie of pot and her purse, which had like $38 in cash in it, and a driver's license.
Ah, the devil's leaf.
We got her.
Devil's leaf.
No, what was it?
The
Devil's
devil's
lettuce.
Devil's lettuce.
An FBI agent, Jack Millslagle.
Spicy leaf.
Are you kidding me? Millslagle.
Millslagle, yes.
Incredible.
And who
Jack.
might you be?
Jack Millslagle, FBI agent, ran a check on the license and realised that the woman was Cowboy Bob. He called Steve Powell at his ranch and left him a message saying he had some bad news about his old nemesis. Powell called back. Say it isn't so, he said.
I wanted to be the one to shoot her
No,
dead.
he was a bit sad about it because Joe. So Millslagle said, "I'm afraid we killed Peggy Jo." So, yeah, that's pretty much the story of Cowboy Bob. Skip sums it up a little bit. He says, for the FBI, of course, the biggest question was how many other banks had Peggy Jo robbed. Some agents wondered if she had tried a bank robbery or two back in the 60s when she was a freewheeling young woman tooling around Dallas in her burgundy Fiat. Others wondered if she'd begun her career in the 70s when she had been caught stealing the pickup. It's not an uncommon practice, after all, for a bank robber to avoid detection by using a stolen car as a getaway vehicle and then later abandoning it. Still, others wondered if she'd returned to robbing banks soon after her release from prison. After studying the evidence from the October 2004 robbery at Guarantee Bank, Millslagle did conclude that Peggy Jo was the robber, the one in October where it was, an old guy with a round belly and a beard and stuff. But that only led to other questions. Why had she gone back to that bank? Was she imitating her heroes Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, who had once robbed the same train twice? And why didn't she dress as a man for the second Guarantee robbery? Why also did she decide to speak to the teller instead of handing the teller a note? Was she hoping that FBI agents would study the bank's surveillance tapes and realise she had returned? Some people kind of see her end as a bit of a one last hurrah. Perhaps she was a little lost. Like one of her friends said, feeling like life had sort of slipped her by. And it's tough as well because the article that Skip Hollandsworth wrote in 2005, which was not long after this had happened, it's one of the best and most comprehensive sources on the story. There isn't a whole heap of information out there, but Skip's done this really big sort of article back then. But it's very sympathetic and it makes you root for Peggy Jo a lot.
Yeah, I was definitely rooting for her.
For sure. But another podcast that I listened to, and I was mentioning this before,
what's this?
It's True Crime Campfire. They kind of talk about the toy gun was purchased basically to force a cop to shoot her. Like it was for this.
Yes, that's what it sounded like.
Yeah,
really.
and they kind of talk about that act and how manipulating someone into shooting you is a really cruel thing to do, because to sort of threaten, shoot me or I'll shoot you, and then aim what looks like a gun is a pretty cruel thing to do,
but
because that's sort of what they...
It sounds like she even put it in pretty straight. She's like...
You'll have to shoot me. Yeah, I know. And they also talk about the fact that we often see these kinds of crimes as victimless. And while no one lost their lives or was hurt in her robberies, the tellers she robbed were mostly really young. A lot of them were fresh out of high school. And just because she didn't show them a gun didn't mean she didn't have one, or there wasn't a threat of violence or a threat to their lives.
Yeah, so the probable odds are some of them might have not had any effects, but you'd imagine some had PTSD or whatever.
For sure. And even talking about a couple of the young police officers needed a lot of counselling and stuff after it too. It's very complex. I just think it's worth noting that sort of stuff rather than just looking at it from Skip's article, which is very sympathetic. He ends on a quote from her childhood friend Cherry, which I think is so funny, especially after just discussing those other factors. This is Cherry saying, I think about her walking out of that bank, 60 years old, that bag full of money, and I have to say that she went out doing what she loved. We'll never understand it, but she was doing exactly what she loved. I wish I could write her a note and say, good for you, my sweet Peg, good for you.
Oh.
It's kind of nice, I guess.
It is such a sad, awful end, isn't it?
Doing what she loved, robbing banks.
What, she went down, Butch Cassidy style, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Her favourite movie.
So it seems very much I think maybe to some people initially kind of going why wasn't she dressed up? Why did she just go as herself? I think that was sort of the plan all along.
And the fact that she didn't check she was always really diligent with checking for dye bombs and stuff.
I think the way her story and her life ended was how she wanted it to end, or that was sort of the plan of that day.
Yeah, there were did she not change the number plates that day? She was in the RV.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, that is the pretty wild story of Cowboy Bob.
Cowboy Bob.
Yeah.
And they never got him. Can't believe it.
Yeah, because
Peggy Jo was the only link and she never told him, so...
Yeah, that's amazing because she never spoke right till the end.
Yeah.
Never gave away the identity.
Never gave it up.
And he must have been close by.
Yeah. Because it was always where she was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He got out of the RV somehow. They didn't notice.
Maybe he's hiding on the toilet.
They just didn't check the John.
They never checked the John.
Well, you can't. You got to have a limit.
Well,
People have to have privacy.
They probably knocked.
Yeah.
Didn't hear anything and went,
well,
obviously someone's
Occupado.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that.
All good.
So there we go. Thank you to Liz
Great.
for suggesting that topic.
Yeah, I would love hearing a story I've never heard anything about.
Yeah.
Love
I know.
that.
I wonder how local Liz is, Zach. I'm pretty sure Liz LaFever is a Texan.
Yeah, well, that could be why.
Oh, great. Well, anyone can suggest a topic at any time via our website, dogoonpod.com. And if you reckon you've got a story that is more maybe local to your area that we in Melbourne, Australia may not have heard of, and it's cool, exciting, or interesting for some reason, send us in.
I've had that one kind of, I made a little note of it. I must have seen it in the hat at one point. I made a note of it of like, maybe that'd be a good bonus episode, or maybe I could, maybe be a future topic. And I think Liz kind of sold it to me with, it's a great bank robbing story with a lot of heart, a crazy surprise twist, and a 10-gallon hat. And I was like, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I think that's a great pitch, which
Yeah.
really does help when we're going through the thousands of suggestions.
That's right.
When I put them up to the vote, I'll put that in next to the topic as well. So it's sort of pitching it to the voters.
Yeah,
as
which
well.
is great.
We must have done, about a dozen bank robbery stories, and I think the maths works out that is maybe the first lady bank robber we've
Yeah, I
had.
think so. Yeah, probably other than like Bonnie and Clyde, did they rob banks and stuff
They
too?
did,
Yeah.
they did actually, you're right.
But yeah, and statistically, it's a very small number, especially on this scale. So good on her for having that title. Proving what women can do.
Well, be an accomplice to Bob.
That's right.
Well, now it's time for everyone's favourite section of the show where we get to thank some of our fantastic Patreon supporters. Without these people, this show doesn't exist. They keep it going. They keep the lights on and the microphones on.
That's right. Which I almost forgot to do. But I hit on.
Yes. And if you want to get involved, you can go to patreon.com/dogoonpod. There's a bunch of different levels, a bunch of different rewards depending on the level you go to. And there's bonus episodes. Which I think if you sign up to that level, there's already 150 odd episodes there ready to go.
There's over 150 hours of bonus content
Bloody
to unlock
hell.
in seconds.
You can also get involved in our Facebook group, which is what a lot of people describe as one of the nicest corners of the internet.
Not me though. Mercilessly bullied in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We shouldn't have called the group "Fuck You, Jess."
That was a mistake. But hindsight's 20/20.
That's right. Really set the tone.
Jazz is just joking, of course. She is the bully in
I am
there.
the bully.
Do not cross her.
Don't cross me. I'll kill you.
Thankfully, no one has, so we haven't seen your nasty side for a long time.
There's a bunch of different things. You can also vote on topics and all sorts of other things. But one of the levels, the Sydney Scheinberg level, if you sign up there or above, you get to give us a fact, a quote, or a question. I'll read out 4 of those every week, and I don't read them until I read them out. Just in case I fumble on anything. That's why, okay?
Okay.
Judgmental much? The first one comes from...
Hang on.
So,
Again.
Yeah.
You've forgotten.
oh my goodness. And the way we get into this one, I think it has a little jingle go something like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
He always remembers the ding. She always remembers the sing.
The vibrato on that one.
I don't always remember to do that bit, though, because I think I forgot it a few weeks ago. No one mentioned it, though.
No one noticed. That hurts. Does anyone listen to this bit?
It's everyone's favourite bit, Dave. Shut up. All right, so the first one this week comes from David, a place to hang your cape, Malofsky. And David has given himself the title, and everyone gets to give themselves the title, of Vice Chairman of Synesthesia.
Ooh.
And David has offered a fact, which is, I thought I would give some facts about colours. In brackets, fullness TBD. I don't know what that means. He continues, I have synesthesia, which is a condition where your senses cross. For instance, some people taste sounds or hear scents. I interpret all my senses in colours. I hear music in colour, see scents in colour, see things that I touch, and read letters and numbers in colour.
Gosh, that sounds so cool.
I used to, I mean, I don't think this is the same thing at all. But I used to, well, I think I still do associate letters and numbers with colours. But he says, for instance, MS is red, yellow. That's interesting. MS for me is green, yellow. JP is brown, pink, and DW is green, silver. Holy shit, that's a good combo.
You got a real Slytherin one there, Dave. Sucked in. I got brown, pink.
Brown pink's awesome. That's ice cream. chocolate and
yeah.
strawberry.
But is there enough for each letter of the alphabet? Like, how specific are you going with shade and tone for?
Oh, he's used silver. I think you could come up with 26 colours.
Turquoise,
Wow.
sage,
Light blue, dark blue, cerise.
for example.
But yeah, that does sound sick. I mean, it potentially isn't. I'm not sure, but it sounds cool. Sounds like that Rolling Stones song, "Paint It Black." No, what is it? I see colors everywhere. She's got hair. I see colors. Roughly 2%.
Poetry.
2% of the population is believed to have synesthesia. For reference, around 8% of men are colorblind. This means between around 5% of the population experiences colors differently to the way that you do, or if you're in the minority like me, 99% do. In addition, because colors are names for various frequencies of light, which in turn is a selection of frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum, X-rays, microwaves, Wi-Fi, and purple are all names for the same thing. Shout out to the patrons I met at Dave's London Booksheet show who approved this fact as fact, quote, or question worthy.
Oh, that's nice. To sort of workshop
right.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
love
right.
that.
Went around the bar, maybe.
That's great. Yeah.
Love it.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. I reckon, I'm not sure, because I used to think that I had it because of that colour thing, but then I started to think maybe as a kid there was a poster on my wall that had all the letters and numbers and they were all different colours, and maybe that's why I do. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, thank you so much for that, David. The next one comes from Daniel Ryan, aka Chief Patron of Ignoring Requests for New Facts, Quotes, and Questions. And Daniel Ryan has offered us a question, which is, I reckon, was Daniel Ryan the guy who started a spreadsheet thing that documented where everything started and different running jokes and stuff? Maybe a Reddit thing or something? That's a vague memory.
Well, what colour is that memory?
Red. It.
Anger.
Daniel writes, I never know what to send in, so I never send anything in. My question is, if you could live in any movie idolized era, which would you choose? I.e. Pride and Prejudice type Victorian, Roaring 20s, etc. And as I always suggest, if you've got a question, please give us an answer.
Yeah, answer your own question.
And Daniel does that here, saying, for me, I'm currently playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I call that Cowboys. I heard Ben Russell say that once, so I'd say
Playing
that every time that
Cowboys.
comes up. Oh, yeah. I call that playing Cowboys, but... and it's an old West game, so I guess that will be my choice for now. I reckon I know Dave's. It's going to be Poirot.
Definitely.
What's that? What's that architecture
Bit of
style
Art Deco.
called? Art
Love
Deco
Art
era.
Deco stuff. My gosh, I love it.
Is that like 20s to 40s kind of?
Yeah, maybe a little bit earlier too.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, I think that would be my pick.
Gonna have to start saying 1920s because we're in the 20s now.
Holy
Holy
shit.
shit.
We're doing it.
That makes you think, doesn't it?
Yes. Can't turn it off. The brain's ticking now. What about you, Bob? Do you have a...
The Jetsons.
Oh,
The
so...
future.
Which is, I think, now in the slight past.
Yeah, but I want their version of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
want, like hoverboards and stuff and little
Tubes to get
personalized
sucked in.
spaceships. Yeah.
I'm thinking of something else.
Tubes to get sucked in.
Glory tubes.
No.
Hey, you know those transport tubes? Or am I thinking of Futurama? I think they both have a similar sort of thing. Yeah, geez, that's a good question. Do you know that Midnight in Paris movie where they go back to when that writer...
Hemingway's in it?
Hemingway era.
That
Writing
the guy
guy.
with
Yeah.
the pen and the...
Yeah, and but it was like, I think the whole message of that was that you're always going to feel nostalgic for another time. You go back to that time, you're like, that's the ideal time. He goes back there and there's someone there who's idolizing a different time nostalgically. But yeah, I was like, both those times, I'm like, they both look sick.
Oh, yeah, I'll take either.
Yeah. Missing the point entirely, probably. It also took me a while to realize that they'd even gone back a second time. I'm like, they're both olden days.
Yeah, they're both the past.
Yeah, and like he says, it's the idolized movie version because I'm always like, I'd hate any time where it's smoking indoors everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
medicine is leeches and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Also, it would depend on, like, what part of society you're in. Like, in Pride and
Yes.
Prejudice, like, a lot of the people around them are quite wealthy. Which is it's Regency era, by the way. It's not Victorian. Just in case, I'm sure there's people at home be screaming at their iPods over that. But if you're...
If they are, that is going to be one of the worst screaming at your iPods things ever.
Let me know if you were.
Actually, this is actually... Which I love. I think the worse the screaming at the iPod, the better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it too. But, yeah, like if you're in any of these eras, growing up in extreme poverty or that kind of stuff, that would really affect your lens.
Yes.
Wouldn't it? Yeah.
For more people, probably now is the idealist time to have lived than ever. I mean, it's still
not sure
perfect,
about that.
isn't it? Yeah, right. I guess for the most people, I'd say.
I'd like to take the amount of money I have now
Oh, yeah.
and then go back to like when my parents were my age
And just crush.
and just buy like 3 houses on one day. Just
That
like pow,
one.
pow, pow.
That one.
I'll buy this block. Like you're playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
You're not buying houses, you're buying streets.
So good.
I'll take Regent Street.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's not for sale. Well, let me write you a check.
$30,000. Like,
right.
oh, Miss
my
Perkins,
God.
right this way.
Right this way.
Once you see my plastic banknotes, you're going to be pretty impressed.
Thank you for that question, Daniel. Don't you think that would be... Maybe it's not the case. I just think because the population of the world's bigger than it's ever been before. Aren't there more people alive now than have ever lived before?
Yeah, sure. So you're thinking about mass number rather than percentage of... Okay, then yeah.
But I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about, of course.
Then why do you keep talking?
I don't know.
Just
Every
move on
sentence
then.
I finish from, I regret.
Just move on then.
Well, the problem is people have still heard it. And they're still...
Yeah, but I'm enduring this now.
Well, they're enduring this now too. And I apologise. I can't apologise any more sincerely.
I wish you would.
I can't really apologise. The next one comes from Aiden. Oh, no. This is a name. I would say Coughlin, but I think he's corrected me a few times because I think he's from Ireland or something and it's Colin maybe. But in Australia, you'd pronounce this Coughlin. Mm-hmm. But maybe the G's... Let's say Aiden Coughlin, and I apologise. Aiden's title is The Smash Boy to Your Orange Ricky.
Oh, that's nice.
Because we found out after the Tetris episode that that was a hoax. That, you know, like even Jeopardy fell for the TV show. Yeah. And, but yeah, I think it's so good that I reckon, and a few people suggested this, let's just make it the reality.
Yeah.
Orange Ricky is so good. Dave, you missed it, but there was this hoaxing that went around online where they named all the blocks on Tetris. You've caught up now. All right, Aiden.
That had a few people screaming at their iPods.
Aiden is offering a suggestion. Fantastic. Writing. Years ago, for some reason that I don't fully understand, I wrote lyrics to the Tetris music. So for someone DM'd me a cover song. It was like a metal version of this song, and it was a day, like I got home from a big day at a pub or something, and I listened to the first 20 seconds, and I replied, "That's so good. What is it?" And they replied like the next day, "Lol, the Tetris theme song." I'm like, I just didn't listen beyond them.
You're like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Why did you send this to me?
I love it. What is it?
Yeah, it was exactly like that. Anyway, so Aiden's written lyrics to the Tetris music. Since then, I haven't been able to hear the song without singing them in my head. And unfortunately, the same is true for pretty much everyone I've shared them with. With apologies to my fellow listeners, I would like for you to perform them. All right, let's see if we can get the theme. All right, here it is. Blocks falling down, there are blocks on the drop, and you can't let them reach the top. If they do, it's the end for you, so put them in a line and you'll be fine. Did I switch into the Oompa Loompa song?
A little, but you recovered it pretty nicely, I think.
I can't. This is what I'm saying. Instrumental track versus singing along makes it a lot harder.
I'm not sure I'm actually familiar with the Tetris theme.
Well, not based on the way I sang it. You probably know it if you heard it.
Okay. I loved it.
I used to. It was only in like the last 5 years or so that I realised that I can't recreate melodies.
Only now.
I know, it's so funny. There must have been so many awkward things where people just nodding at me.
Going,
Oh, yeah, that song. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
no, I love that one.
Yeah, it's a fantastic one.
Anyway, I just finished my drink, so I got to go.
And finally this week, that was fantastic work, Aiden. Finally this week, Nathan Damon has a fact. And Nathan, aka, or with the title, a name that describes someone's position or job.
Oh, that's nice.
That's
A definition of a title.
It is what it says on the tin. Nathan writes, "Hey guys, it's been a while. Just wanted others to have a chance for a shout out over block." Well, that's very sweet, Nathan. "I hope everyone out there in Dugong Land is doing well. So a fact. Well, I just finished listening to the Tetris ep where Jess mentioned that she couldn't give blood because she faints. I too can't give blood because my blood is way too powerful for normal people."
Wow.
Not really. I faint too.
I fainted the first time, and now I'm not allowed to give blood because I'm low iron. So
That's so Imagine me.
my blood is too powerful, I
Sorry,
guess.
it's too powerful, Mr. Damon.
Mr. Damon, we thank you for your time today, but we can't use any of
I'm
this.
afraid your blood has killed several people.
Yes. Well, they lived so hard that they died. He says, "It's the
Thanks,
weirdest
Will.
thing. I can cut myself or something and be fine right up until I get treated. Then out I go. I can bleed all over the place and just, I love that this has obviously happened for him to know this. I can bleed all over the place and just keep working, but give blood and out I go. Well, I hope you all have had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And depending on when this is read, Happy Easter, everyone." Hey, Happy Easter to you
Nathan,
too,
it's
Nathan.
way too early for Easter.
Hey, I had a hot cross bun yesterday. I'm
Yeah,
in.
I love it.
I love the
they're
two
great.
times of year, Easter and Christmas.
Love it. I love a chocolate hot cross bun,
Oh.
but I'm not allowed to buy them because I'll eat them.
Yeah.
Whose rule is this?
That's my own
The
rule.
supermarket's got your photo.
That's your rule.
These buns are too powerful.
I had to do a self-imposed rule around these ginger bickies that I make because I make them and then I eat all of them.
they
Too
look So
addictive.
good.
So I've had to.
You brought them in recently.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I've had to make them a Christmas time only. I might make a batch actually.
I don't really make things, but I have that rule about Milo.
Oh my god!
I can't have it in the house. The big tin will last less than a week.
Yeah.
Do-
You know what,
is
I
it-
had a
are you
Milo-
doing like one session a day or are you just doing multiple?
It'll be one session a day, but it'll be like,
Huge sessions.
Like
3/4 mug.
Get this. I had to. Yeah.
3/4 of Milo?
Yeah, and then a milky screed on top.
Hang on.
This man is sick.
I had a Milo last night.
Dave's on the phone calling a doctor.
Oh my god! If you could powder, you'd be like coughing.
I have to tell Matt about my Milo.
Okay,
so if you could
please.
just pipe down for a second, please.
We just heard the man's got a horrible addiction.
But I had one last night, quarter cup Milo, then like maybe 2/4 milk, and then the whole
And then a quarter air.
it was just empty. The whole base, all the Milo, just came up in one hit.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, God damn it!
I like just being able to like just get just through the
Little bit.
milk a little bit. You nop it with the nop it with the spoon. Not a word, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
And it just flops.
I know,
to
but the whole thing came up, and then
Yeah.
it kind of goes a bit. It's not as good.
I
I
have
ate it.
But it is. You just want to be able to just like.
I want to be in control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're mining for Milo
I
Gold,
knew you'd understand. Dave doesn't.
but it doesn't get it.
I love Milo, but I eat it the appropriate way.
What? As they recommend.
Yeah, a spoon and then stir it in.
All right, psycho. You have your little chalky milk.
It's
Yeah.
actually 3 spoons. Then you
Teaspoons, so it's tiny.
Yeah, 3 teaspoons.
Yeah.
Then like the equivalent of like 2 shots of milk. Stir it all together, get a nice paste going, get a lather. Then tip the rest of the milk to the top, then stir it all together, and then the Milo's along the top.
Now, do you count this as cooking?
Straight in the microwave. You're cooking. No, I prefer a cold Milo, so it's a preparation rather than a cook.
Your Milo sucks. Our Milo's way better.
Now, what you've got, I'll pour that into the top quarter.
Yeah. I need 4
Of the tin.
heaped tablespoons.
Yeah, it's got to be like, and I'm talking heaps.
Yeah.
I'm talking taller than wide. You know?
You're chode of a Milo spoon.
The next thing we like to do is shout out to a few of our other fantastic supporters. Jess normally comes up with a bit of a game based on the topic.
So I do.
Is this their police alias or something like that? Like Cowboy Bob type thing?
Yeah. What the police call them.
Yeah, I love it. Because they're disguised as something.
Yeah, yes, okay. Yeah. What their disguise is.
All right.
And the name.
Well, if I can kick us off.
No.
Okay.
No, just kidding. Go for it.
I'd kick us off every week.
It was just a good little joke.
Yes. You've stopped me right in my tracks. The first person from address unknown, can only assume probably from deep within the fortress of the moles, it's Callan Dumbrell. Dave, what's Callum Dumbrell dressed as?
Scuba diving Brent.
Scuba diving Brent.
That's what they're calling him.
And dressed as a fish. So the nickname didn't make sense.
Yeah, the cops in Molesville ain't too bright. Or they just do those nicknames that go for a bit of a journey before they...
Scuba diving Brent.
Scuba diving Brent's very funny. I've got I think he's like a second cousin or something, but basically like an uncle type from the broader family named Brent. And I think it's such a great
Brent's
name.
a great name.
Brent.
And he's a real Brent. Picture Brent?
Yeah, got it.
Middle-aged man.
I'm looking at him.
Locked and
you got
loaded.
him. That's
Yep.
him.
Boring
Lovely guy.
haircut.
Sensible haircut.
Sorry, yeah.
Sensible everything.
You're setting your clock to that haircut. But lovely guy. I always love catching up with him.
If you're listening,
Shout
Brent.
out, Brent. Sorry you had to find out this way.
Big Saints man. He was high up at the Saints at one point.
What does that mean?
Don't ask questions. Next.
Next up, also from address unknown, probably also in the Fortress of the Moles, it's Erin Fast.
Erin Fast.
Already a great name.
Yeah.
Turtle Lady.
Turtle Lady.
She's always needing to go to the toilet.
Always
That's
turtling.
a calling card. No, of course she's dressed as a very turtly turtle, like
Am
Dana
I not
Carvey.
turtly enough for the turtle
I
club?
never saw the movie, but I know that clip from.
Oh yeah, we watched it at a year 7 sleepover, and even then we were like, "This sucks."
Oh, what a
We're
shame.
like 12.
He really feels like he was a wasted talent.
I know it
He
sucks.
never got his
everything.
proper shot at a movie career. Erin Fast. So what was the name?
Turtle Lady.
Turtle Lady.
Because turtles are slow.
And Dana Carvey, one of his other famous characters, was the Church Lady. So it's a real homage.
It's nothing to do with Dana Carvey. It's because the last name is Fast and turtles are slow.
Yeah, but the cops didn't know that, so they couldn't have come up with a bit based on that, Jess. Come on. Let's get real here. And finally from me, I'd love to thank from Kingswood in New South Wales, Australia, Adam Van Eyck.
The physicist.
Ooh,
Oh, that's good.
the physicist. So lab coat.
Physics teacher at my school, last name was Van Eyck.
I love it. You just look at something, you just take the inspiration. That's great.
And it's often, I mean, the fast one, I sort of drew that one, but you could nearly always just get away with sounding like you got a creative brain.
I just like to be open with you
yeah.
guys.
Show
Thank
your
you.
workings out.
I want to be honest.
Much like Mr. Van Eyck always suggested.
That's right.
Show your workings out, please.
Great guy, just retired.
Really, congratulations on a great career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope you
for
enjoy
men.
your.
One time,
Was he one of the weirdos?
no, he was the one who, at a swimming carnival one time, a girl started to struggle in the water and he jumped in and saved her. And he was a real hero to us. After that.
Wow.
Van Eyck, bit of Van Hoogen band about him.
Yes, absolutely. One of the all-time great names, Peter Van den Hoogenbaden.
Nailed it.
I wonder, yeah, and he's Adam Van Eyck also in his Getaway Van Eyck. A little joke for himself, because obviously the cops didn't know that. Hey, Dave, would you like to thank a few?
Hey, I'd love to thank from Balgowlah in New South Wales. Never heard of that place, but I'm loving it already.
Balgowlah.
Balgowlah, big shout out to Courtney.
Courtney. From Balgowlah.
Beetle.
Oh,
The fifth Beetle.
Fifth Beetle.
Dresses up, old school Beetle style, mop
Yeah.
top haircut.
Yeah.
Love that.
Maybe those fluoro kind of Sergeant Pepper's
Oh.
style. So it's a mashup of eras.
Of yours, just really blending in there in the
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing. The suit is beige. It's not it's not the pink or the blue or whatever that they actually use.
Right.
The fifth colour was
one.
beige.
Yeah. The beige
So it's the
beetle.
type of thing that people would look at and go, that would be so beautiful in a bright colour.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's beige.
Yeah.
That's a great nickname, the beige beetle.
beige
Beige beetle.
The beige beetle has struck again.
That's good.
Hiding in plain
Oh my
sight.
goodness.
That's good, Courtney.
Asking for some Lucy in the sky with diamonds. We've only got cash here. Courtney, we're so sorry. Hey, I would like to thank from an unknown location. Wow, the fortress is full tonight. A big
For our patrons listening, if you want your address in there, you can change it. You just got to go into your back end. We can't change it from our end, and that will also mean you get the Christmas card each year.
Look, we can't change it in the back end. We can't guess your address.
We're sending these. We still send a Christmas card to all these. We just write mole
Yeah, that's right. The
secret
Moletopia.
Moletopia.
Dozens went to the Moletopia this
And
this
the
year.
post office say, do you really want us to send these? We'll charge you. And we say, send them.
Send them. We say send them, and I'll watch them put them in the bin.
Yeah.
All right, I would like to shout out to this fortress resident, Josh Hillman.
Oh, Hillman.
Oh,
What
yeah.
about-
He's not even hiding that he's from the molehill.
The molehill, right? Nicknamed the tennis racket.
Oh,
Wow.
He is dressed as a tennis racket.
Oh, okay. That's good, yeah.
how did the cops come up with that?
You know,
It's not even the tennis racket bandit. It's just
yeah,
the
just
tennis,
tennis
racket.
racket.
I like that. I mean, isn't it usually the media coming up with it as well? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if Cowboy Bob, the actual Cowboy Bob, was she annoyed? Do we have any opinions on that nickname given to her? Because, like, if you are robbing a bank, you get given the nickname. Sometimes you might be like, oh, I hate that.
Well, I mean, at least it's confirmation that they're confident it's a man.
Actually, right. You're true.
So she'd probably be quite chuffed. I don't know. I
You
mean,
assume
she didn't talk about it much.
She
I don't know.
probably would have if she had the choice. She would have been.
Cowboy Babette.
Well, what was the movie she liked?
Butch.
Butch. She would have loved to have been
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance
Butch
Kid.
Cassidy or Sundance Kid, I reckon.
yeah.
I'd like Sundance Kid.
Sundance Kid's fantastic. Butch Cassidy is sick as well.
Okay, you can be Butch Cassidy. I'll be Sundance Kid. And
Okay.
Dave can be Angela.
Looks like there's a Simpsons character called Cowboy Bob.
Yeah, there
as well.
is, but it's... and I was like, that can't be from The Simpsons, surely, but it's from the comic strip.
Ah, gotcha. Hey, I would like to thank from Chestnut Hill in Massachusetts. Matt, how am I supposed to say that?
Massachusetts.
Thank you so much. And this is a big shout out to Motion Siddiqui.
Motion
Siddiqui. I think Motion is known as the ballerina. Okay, so tutu,
Yes,
ballerina slippers,
nailed that. Yep.
but
Covered in bells.
Coming in
one
on tip-
big bell over the head.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
for protection.
And on the way out, ding, ding, ding.
Oh, wow. Hitting the
You've
bell.
just been robbed by the king. Really wanted the king to be the nickname?
But they went for ballerina.
They went with
You know.
ballerina, yeah.
Wow, that's tough. Sorry to hear that.
Sorry, Mosen. And, but honestly,
Really just tried so hard to put it out there. I'm the king. You've just been robbed by the king.
Tell everybody. And it
Yeah.
just didn't stick.
Didn't stick.
Can I thank some people?
Sure can.
I would love to thank from Shoreline, Washington, WA.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to thank Carly Lee.
Carly, what about The Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Ooh, fantastic.
Oh.
So went dressed as Mickey Mouse?
Yes.
Wizard Mickey?
Yeah, with the hat, the coat.
Yeah. Is that what The Sorcerer's Apprentice is? From Fantasia? Or no? Or is that a separate thing? Feels like is it a Disney thing at all? Sorcerer's Apprentice?
I have no idea.
Yeah, neither, as it turns out. Felt confident briefly,
Never feel confident.
and that vanished.
Yeah.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice is a 2010 American action-adventure fantasy film produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, released by Walt Disney Pictures.
Well done.
Starring Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Ah, yes.
So I've combined two things there.
But you were in the right kind of ballpark, which is
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, but like the Fantasia outfit would be a pretty good disguise.
Yeah, again, it's like, no, I'm the Fantasia bandit.
Oh, the Sorcerer's Apprentice is struck again.
God damn it. I would also love to thank from the Windy City, Chicago,
Whoa.
Illinois. I would love to thank Emily Austria. Emily Austria is a fantastic
That's a
name.
great
I
name.
would buy a novel written by Emily Austria.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which is funny because Emily's bandit nickname was the novelist.
I like it.
I like it too. I like
'Cause
it a lot.
she wrote a really long note.
It was, the teller was like, oh,
Oh my God.
I'm just going to jump
sorry.
ahead a bit and be
Yeah,
like,
that's
you're
right.
robbing me, right?
It's like a
Beautiful
manuscript.
prose.
I am so busy at work. I'll just open your bag. I'll put the cash in. Like, honestly, you're wasting my time. That's beautiful, Emily. Congratulations on The Novelist. Finally, I would love to thank from Harrington Park, New South Wales, William Angeli. Angeli.
Ooh.
Got all options there, William.
What about the broken down shoe?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And how do they get to that?
They on the way out, robbery went really well. Except on the way out, last step out of the bank, they had a bit of a blowout with the sole of their shoe,
No.
dragging along. Quite embarrassing. Quite embarrassing. They had to just start legging it with like half the shoe, broken down shoe.
Hate
Footing
that.
it.
Yeah, they were footing it.
Whoa. Thanks so much, William, Emily, Carly, Mosen, Josh, Courtney, Adam, Aaron, and Callan. And the last thing we like to do is welcome a few people into the Triptych Club. Jess, could you quickly explain what the Triptych Club is?
Yeah, it's a one-stop shop for anything you could ever need. You want to have a nap? We've got beds. You want to take a shit? We've got toilets.
We've got
also
beds.
It's a lounge type area, an exclusive club. Once you enter, you can never leave. Where we
In a good way.
In a good way. Where we welcome in people who have supported to go on for 3 years consecutively.
On the shout-out level or above.
That's right.
And when I call out your name, because I'm the doorman here, I've got the clipboard. I've got a list of guests. This week we've got 8 inductees.
Wow.
I'll read out the names. Dave's on stage inside. He's the MC. He's the hype man.
Thank you.
And he's going to really bring you up. I'll read out your name and then Dave will welcome you in. Everyone else is already in the club. They're there clapping along, cheering your name.
Yep.
Just behind the bar.
Yep.
Normally has come up with a cocktail based on the topic.
Pepsi
Pepsi.
in a mug,
Oh, yeah.
3/4 full.
and you can
And you
have.
serving any fajita meat?
I got some fajita meat. I got some cigarettes.
Oh, my God. Menthol?
The only way.
Yeah. And Dave, you normally book a band for the after party. Who have you booked?
You're
this
never going to
week?
believe this.
What have you done now,
I book
Dave?
these bands months and months in advance. Never anything to do with the topic.
Uh-huh.
And I've somehow booked the band Job for a Cowboy,
Whoa.
Wow.
the death metal band.
Sick.
So
Wow.
get ready for some breeze. Job for a Cowboy is here.
Any hits that we would know?
Yeah. Do you remember Knee Deep?
Yes. Yep. love that.
Entombment of a Machine.
Uh-huh.
Son of Night. Nility.
That sounds like a death metal song written by a robot.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Tarnished Gluttony.
Oh, yeah. They've definitely opened the thesaurus.
There was a thing when their first album Doom came out in 2005. There was quite a lot of love for it. My school people loved Job for a Cowboy.
Fantastic. All right, are you ready to welcome in this week's inductees? Here
I
we
am
go.
ready. You didn't wait. You didn't wait for my response.
Well, you took forever.
Yeah, it was quite
And you
a
were
while.
typing, so it was pretty clear you
I was
hadn't
looking
heard him.
up Job for a Cowboy.
I figured once I start, you'll probably figure out what's going on.
You'll probably, remember you're at work. Maybe you'll get your shit together.
Frickin' hell,
and
Dave.
from now, I'm ready to hype you. But I needed to get out that resentment
that was
first.
rude.
I
Oh, yeah. For
can't-
new listeners, Jess also hypes Dave
How
up.
can I hype you if I'm feeling any kind of content or resentment for you? I've got that out now. I feel nothing but love for you, and I'm ready.
Then I feel nothing.
What's new?
Please.
Firstly, from Mooresville in North Carolina, home of the blue fire trucks in some certain areas in America, it's Dustin Stewart.
Dude, I've been busting Stuart to get this guy in.
Yes!
From Edmonton in Canada, it's Sandy Paha.
I'm a fandy of Sandy.
Oh!
From Byram in is it Massachusetts? MS?
No.
Mississippi.
Oh, baby.
The Grand Old Miss. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I.
You are ruining the flow.
It's Kiana Jackson.
Oh, when Kiana came, I said bye, Ram, to the bad times.
From Lucan in Ireland, it's Ola McGrath.
Ooh, duking with the Lucan.
Okay.
We met Ola recently, Dave, when we were over in somewhere.
5 stars.
Maybe Leeds. I can't remember. No, probably Glasgow. And from Garland in Texas in the United States,
One of the robberies was there.
Holy shit.
No.
Pretty sure.
It's Josh Harmon
Well, I've got some good
Whoa.
Carmen with Josh Harmon. Sounds like karma.
from Ringsted in DK, Denmark, perhaps. It's Maya Likegard.
DK standing for the cool person.
Oh.
Dave, I know you've been to Iceland, which isn't too far from Denmark. Can you have a crack at
I've
pronouncing
also
that
been
name?
to Denmark.
Well, that's
Yes,
relevant
but you've been
too.
to Iceland.
I think it's Likegard
And Major or Maya?
or Maha.
Maha. Can you have a go full go?
Please give it up for Maya Likegard.
Ooh.
From Canberra in the Australian Capital Territory, it's Anne White.
And White. So it was still...
It's a big juxtaposition to go from a name that we're not sure about and then
Okay,
Anne White.
I'm a fan of Anne White.
Yeah, Anne White.
Finally, from Gothenburg in Sweden, it's Adam Norman.
Ain't nothing Norman about this guy.
Oh, yes.
He's the best!
Norman like normal.
Normal, I think that's what I'm going for there. Yeah.
Thank you so much to Adam
He's
and
the best.
Maya, Major, Josh, Orla, Kiana, Sandy, and Dustin. Welcome into the club. Make yourselves at home. Get ready. Grab a bit of meat. Don't know if Jess is cooking it or not, but grab a handful.
Yeah, all right.
Grab yourself a Pepsi
And a cigarette.
And a cigarette. And get ready for the death metal stylings of Job for a Cowboy.
Job for a Cowboy. Take it away, guys.
Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Anything we need to tell people before we go, Bopper?
Just that they can find us at Do Go On Pod across social media. Our website is dogoonpod.com, where you can find info about live shows, which we've got coming up, soonish.
Yeah,
come
we'll
along.
always have something coming up.
It's always something. And anybody can suggest a topic. There's a link in the show notes. It's also a link on our website. You don't have to be a Patreon. If you've got a story you've heard that you think would make for a good report, let us know. And also, finally, we love you.
Dave, boot this baby home.
Hey, we'll be back next week with another classic episode. But until then, I'll say thank you so much for listening and goodbye.
Later.
Bye.